So hey everybody, welcome back to Bow and Arrow Garage. So today I'm going to be working on the C3 Corvette again. It's a new year, and I've got some big plans for the car this year, but not just for the car, but for the channel. So I'm going to do a little bit of work. It's probably going to be kind of on the shorter side of video today. Kind of is what it is. I'm kind of waiting on some things to happen before I can really jump back into it. But I want to address two of the big issues that I'm having right now. The main thing is my thermostat's not opening. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the thermostat out and drill some holes in it, and hopefully that'll let water bypass through, and we'll see if we can get that thing to open. And the second thing is I was doing some other things with the cooling system. I don't really like the routing of my steam port line, and so I had purchased a new crossover for it, and when I got it in, it was a cheap eBay part, and the fittings actually that go down into the heads, they were too big and it just didn't fit, so I had to send that back. But in the meantime, I went to put the oven back on, and when I went to tighten it down, one of the bolts stripped out in the head. So I'm going to have to put an insert in that. So I've got to basically just drain some of the coolant out of the cooling system, pull the thermostat out, fix that, and then I'll put that insert in those heads, and then we'll go from there. The next thing I want to do is try to work on the idle tune a little bit. I think I talked about it in the last video. I had the tune set, and the idle was good, and then I would shut the car off, start it back up, and then the idle would be real high. Shut it off, start it up, it would be good again. So it's got to have something to do. I talked to some friends of mine. I think it's pretty much something to do with the tune. I don't think it's a vacuum leak because that would be consistent. So anyways, I'm gonna dive into that, try to work on the tune a little bit today, and we'll see where we go from there. Okay guys, I've got the coolant draining out of the radiator, and I want to jump up top. I want to show you one more thing that I'm going to try to address today. So on my thermostat housing, I had mentioned that I had a little leak. It seemed like it was coming from the lower bolt hole here. So one thing I'm going to check when I pull this off is it doesn't seem like this new straight water neck housing sits perfectly concentric. It doesn't seem to mate up perfectly, I should say, with the boss on the water pump itself. So I'm going to check one thing. First thing is I'm going to spin it 180 degrees and see if it seems to line up a little bit better. Probably what I'll end up doing is when I put it back on, I'm going to probably put a little bit of just a watertight gasket sealer on it around the flange and see if that seals it any better. And I probably will I'm going to try to find some little bushings or something to fit in these holes and get some bolts. I just don't like the Allen key bolts. It's kind of a pain in the butt, first of all, but I don't seem to be able to get, I can't really torque it as is. So anyways, we'll address that down the road, but for right now, I'm going to go ahead and just let this coolant continue or finish draining out, and then we'll jump into it. So this is my thought process. So this is the thermostat that I'm using. Obviously this is the one that I had originally purchased that was too tall. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put 4 similar holes like this into this thermostat and see if that will help it open. If not, then I'm going to end up having to just buy the other water pump with the heater hoses and go ahead and get a heater core and get it routed and everything. So anyways, we'll jump into it and get these hoses drilled, and we'll go from there. All right, let's see how this works. It's going. I just got to be patient. Take it slow. Alright, a little lubricating oil wouldn't hurt. Alright, so not bad. 3 more. Okay guys, there's the finished product here. I'm going to go ahead and take it in. I'm going to throw it on the stove in a pan of water and just make sure that the thermostat is opening. I'm sure it is, but anyways, I'm going to give it a shot and then we'll put it back in. So I cannot find my infrared thermometer. I don't know what I did with it. So I'm just going to watch and make sure this thing opens. There it goes. I see it opening now. So it is definitely opening. Alright, so we'll call that good. Alright, I got the thermostat housing back on. I had to close my garage door. My neighbor's mulching leaves, so just for the dust and for the noise issues. So anyways, I got it back together. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull off this crossover tube. This is the one that stripped out. I'm going to go ahead and sleeve both sides though. And so I may end up having to take this off just to get my drill straight on there. I want to be very careful. I don't want to go too deep, obviously. But anyways, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Okay guys, so this is the kit I'm going to be using to put these time inserts in. This is the insert itself. It gives you the inserts, part number, gives you the drill bit, the counter bore, the tap, and the driver. So these are all the ones for the M6x1. They recommend that you use a drill motor when you're doing the drill and the counter bore. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do that because of the fact that my drill motor is hitting my fuel rail here, and so I couldn't get a straight shot down on there. So I'm going to end up doing this with a basically just I'm going to use a ratchet to drill it. The hole's pretty hogged up already, so I think it's going to be perfectly fine. We just got to make sure that when we tap it that everything is good. So anyways, I may end up using my air ratchet, but I'm going to see just how well it cuts. I've got it marked here because this is a blind hole, so I don't want to go too deep. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and do it, and we'll see how it comes out. Okay guys, I ended up using a ratchet basically because, like I said, my drill motor was hitting the fuel rail. I didn't want to pull the fuel rail, so anyways, I used a smaller drill bit initially just to take the old threads out, and then I used this one to clean up the hole to the proper size. So now I'm going to grab the counter bore and I'll counter bore this thing, and then we'll tap it and get the insert in. So in this case with the counter bore, I am going to use my drill. I'm going to use my cordless. And if you can see, I've got an extension. I've got this socket. This is a 7/32, but it's a 12 point. A 6 point won't work on these Allen drivers, but a 12 point will. And then I've got the counter bore. So I'll go ahead and get this thing counter bored. Then I'll check the depth with an insert. Probably end up going a little deeper. And I think that's plenty deep there. So anyways, I use my pick to find the bottom of the hole, how deep it is, and then I just put tape on my tap I did the same thing with my drill bits just so that I don't go too deep. So that's when I know I'm gonna know when to stop. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering here. It's freezing in here. So anyways, I'll get this tapped and then we'll put the insert in. So that is the hole. You can see the counter bore at the top of it there. It's threaded. So these inserts, they kind of have a triple locking feature. First of all, the chamfer on the head locks it in place. You're putting high strength Loctite in there also. And then the driver will only go down so far. It's a little bit smaller. Oops. It's a little smaller at the bottom. And so when the driver goes all the way through, it actually expands it in the hole just a little bit. So I'll grab the driver. You want to use the Loctite, but you also want to use this driver oil that's supplied with the kit. So the driver oil goes on the inside on the actual driver itself, and then the Loctite goes on the external threads. So there's the time insert installed, and I should never have a problem with those threads again. Okay guys, I got this thing back together, except for the throttle body. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and reset and make sure that the throttle body is completely closed, or the throttle plate is completely closed. And then I'm going to start my tuning from there, but I'm not going to really do any tuning today. It's gotten too late on me. It took forever to once again fill up this coolant system, and that's kind of just the nature of this thing, I've learned. So hopefully the system will bleed, and then secondly, hopefully the thermostat will now open. We will see. I'm hoping, obviously, but I am not holding my breath. So we're gonna go ahead and get this throttle plate adjusted, and then I'm gonna get her cranked up. Okay guys, I ran the car and everything seems to be good. As a matter of fact, the idle was perfect. I didn't do anything to the tune. Like I said, I'm going to wait till next week to do the tune. The only thing I did is I basically went in and I checked the throttle body. I backed it completely closed, and then I indexed it to where I know where my starting point is. And then I moved it basically back to where it was. I ran the car. The idle is perfect. I'm not going to get too optimistic about that. I know I'm going to have to do some tuning on it, like I said, coming up in the next week or two. But the good thing is everything I did today was a smashing success. So the first thing is that steam port fix. Obviously, I wasn't expecting any issues with that, but it worked perfectly, and everything, it torqued down perfect and no leaks, so that's good. But also, it seemed like the thermostat opened. I ran the car for probably about maybe 6 to 8 minutes or so, and initially it seemed like it was acting like before, but all of a sudden the bottom radiator hose got really hot, and it just seemed like the thermostat opened. There was a definite difference between the upper radiator hose. It was really hot, and the lower radiator hose was hot, but it was quite a bit cooler. And that just that's the way it ought to work, because as it passes through the radiator, then it should cool off. From every indication I can tell, the thermostat opened properly, and so that is working right. So we'll find more about that out in the future, but for right now, everything seems to be good. And then the other good news is that I don't have any more leaks on my water pump. So basically what I ended up doing on the thermostat housing is, and I have no idea why they recessed, they basically recessed the hose, the mounting hose, and put a Allen head fastener in there, and there's no real reason to recess them, at least as far as I can see, because there's no clearance issue with anything. Maybe with the air conditioner in place there might have been an issue, but I really don't think so. So basically what I did is I just got some brass bushings and I expanded them inside the holes, and basically ended up putting a hex head bolt in there. And when I installed it, I put the bolts in wet with some gasket maker, and man, it sealed perfectly, so I have no more leaks. My thermostat seems to be opening. My steam port line is fixed. If I do decide to change out my steam port crossover in the future, now I won't have to worry about the holes stripping out. I was surprised. The driver's side bolt had already been fixed. I don't know. I can't remember myself putting an insert in it, but somebody did. So that side's good already. So I just had to fix that passenger side, and everything is good. So anyways, like I said, this is not going to be a super long video. There wasn't a whole lot of information in it, but hopefully the videos I took on the actual installing the time cert came out good, and get you some good quality video of that. But with that being said, I'm really excited about moving into the future and getting this car tuned. Man, it sounded so good tonight. If it would just run like that all the time, then I would be happy with it. So I mean, obviously I've got some some high RPM tuning and different things to do, but anyways, with that being said, I want to say thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel, and we hope to see you again next time. Thanks, and have a great night.